Hello guys, my name is Hussein Alawsi. I'm a PhD candidate. Today we're gonna go through introduction to a DC power supply and also multimeter. We're gonna talk about the breadboard also and the wires that we're gonna use.
So the first thing is the breadboard, and usually it's gonna be something like this. We do have two main rows, which is the top one and then the bottom one, and then this one and then this one. The full row is connected this blue line, which indicates that each pinholes from these pins are connected to each other. Same thing for the bottom one. So the first one and the one beneath it, they are not connected. In columns they are not connected, but the full row is connected. In the middle of the breadboard we have this big space, which indicates that there is a separation in the conductivity between the upper part and the bottom part. The upper part in itself, it's gonna be a little bit tricky. The columns are connected to each other, but each column is independent from the column next to it. So here we have like the first pin. It's not connected to the pin next to it, but the first pin is connected to the 4 pins in beneath. So this is all one spot. So when we want to make a connection, we have to be clear about what pin we should use. For example, we assign the first one is to the negative, which is the blue, and let's agree that we're gonna use the red line as the positive supply. Same thing for these one. Next, we're gonna talk about the wires. Mainly the wires we're gonna use to connect between the devices and the circuits are called banana cables. We have two main types in the laboratory. There is kind of a thinner one and a thicker one. So our devices is compatible with the thicker ones. So please don't use those and try to use those unless they are run out. Usually we have. These are the alligator clips, which gonna convert the banana cable into something that we could use to catch, for example, like the jumper cables, which are the wires that we're gonna use to deliver the power from the devices to our breadboard circuit. These jumper wires have tiny thing that goes into the breadboard pins, and that's it. Make sure like you push it all the way down, not like this, not like just like trying to put it like this and that's it. No, try to push it like till this. We agreed on using the red for the positive, so we're gonna use the black wire for the negative signal, and remember that we're gonna use the blue line for the negative on the breadboard. And that's it for the. This is the power supply, which is the major device that we're gonna use in the entire semester. There are main things. The main things we have is obviously there is a screen, which is gonna have be so handy. There is the main buttons, these ones and this one, and there is also the port section. So let's just start with the port section. This is output 1. This is the red one represent the positive, and this one represent the negative. We have also output 2 and also positive and also negative. We have a third output, which is a fixed 5 volts, which is unchangeable, either 0, either 5 volts. We cannot go in between. For both output 1 and output 2, we can go from 0 to 30 volts.
Here we're gonna use the wheel to adjust between the voltages.
This is the main buttons that turns on off the device completely. We're gonna press it one time and then we're gonna see like the device is running on. On the screen we have off. The first off represent for output 1. The second one represent for output 2, and this one off is represent for output 3 or the 5 volt fixed. We have main all on off, which is gonna turn all the outputs to on or off.
We also have individuals on off for each outputs. So this is for output 1, just this one. This is for output 2 for this one, and this is for output 3. This number 1 is what we see in here, output 1. That means all these gray buttons and also the adjustable will control the first output. If we press on 2, that means it's gonna say here output 2, so we are in control of the second output. This represents the ground. Let's see how we could, for example, use the first output. So as I said, if we're gonna use the first output, we're gonna press 1. So we need here output 1. If we wanna use output 2, we're gonna press on this one. If we're gonna use this one, or we cannot change the voltage, so it's either on or off. So we just simply press this button, and when we have 5 volts here, that means we have 5 volts. And when we have off here, that means it's off. For output 1, we can press on this one. We have control of it right now. The first thing is we're gonna do in every lab is hit the display limit, which is the first button to the top. When we press this one, it's not setting the device on, because as you can see, it's gonna go off in a second. It just gives us a peek about what output we are expecting from this one. So we press it, and then we go to the adjuster. When we see the V sign blinking, that means we are gonna control the voltage right now. And now I'm moving it clockwise, so I'm increasing the voltage. If I move counterclockwise, I'm decreasing the voltage. If I wanted to adjust the current, I would say press on the second button, and now I see the A is start blinking. For example, I need 9 volts, 1 amp. I would go to the display, I would go to set the amps to 1, press this one, and we said we need this one 9, for example. And then when I set it to 9, I would just leave it and then press the output 1 whenever I'm ready. So I'm seeing like here I have 9, here I have 0. Here, as we can see, for the amp section, we have 0. This means that the circuit will take whatever it's need, but it won't exceed the maximum amount that we set to, which is 1 in this case. For example, if we found something like this, we're gonna press it. If you found something in here, if you found any screen rather than this one, then please ask the TA for help, because there might be a error codes and he needs to clear them. So what you need is a clear screen like this, and then you need the wires. Remember not to use the thinner one, use the thicker one. So we're gonna put like this. We're gonna use the red one for the positive, the black one for the negative. Be careful about the other sides of the wires where we put them. We don't want them to get in contact with each other. Now the device is off, so there is no problem in connecting them. If the device was on and you do this, you're gonna might ruin the device. It's have a circuit protection in it, but just in case, we don't want to do that. Next thing is we want to have the alligator clips, and it's just simple push in, and that's it. And same thing for this one. And now we converted the power from the device into something that we could use on the ports. For example, if we use this wire like this, then if we bring the other side of the wire, as we said, like we're gonna put it like, for example, on the blue line here, then we're having the negative to the all of this bottom blue line. And same thing, if we're gonna use, for example, this wire to here. So right now we do have the board having a positive on the top and negative on the bottom. If we want to provide our circuit with a voltage, then we're gonna take wires from any point, from this or from this, from this, from this, and then we're gonna provide to whatever components that we do have on the circuit. Now this device is called the multimeter, and it's also have three main things, which is the output section, the buttons, and the main button and the screen, obviously. This one will turn the device on off. Usually the device set to auto, and this is what it should look like. These are the buttons that we're gonna use. This is to measure the DC voltage, and this is for the DC current. As we can see here, it says MV, so it's millivolt. If I press on this one, it says U capital A, which is microamps, and it's also auto. Remember both of those in DC. These are AC voltage, so this is auto AC and also in millivolt. And this one is micro A, which is in AC. This one is have the ohm resistor and also the conductivity. So this one, when we want to measure the resistance, and it's also auto, it start capital M ohm, so it's mega ohm. So let's go back to the DC voltage. For the outputs, we have the first output, which is from this side. It's gonna be the line we need to measure the voltage, the ohms, and also this little symbol about the diodes. So when we want to measure a voltage or a resistor or check the conductivity of a diode, we're gonna use this one and this one. From this in the between, and we have the ground level, we know that these two are connected while these top two are not. So when we want to measure the voltage, we're gonna use this one and this one or this one as a ground, while this one is gonna be the positive. And remember, if you wanna use voltage or resistor or diodes, not just by plugging into the correct places, but for example, if we wanna measure the voltage, we have to put it on the voltage. If we wanna measure the amps, we're gonna use the amps. For example, if we have DC amps or AC amps. Also, if we have AC voltage, usually we don't. If you want to read the resistance or conductivity, you put here and here, as we said, obviously, and you're gonna switch to the resistance on section. Now let's do quick thing and the quick demo to measure the voltage, for example, from the DC power supply. So what we need is we're gonna measure a voltage. So we're gonna have the positive goes to the voltage. For example, if this wire goes to our circuit, then what we need to measure the voltage from is from this one. So we could connect it like this. And also we need another terminal to read the voltage to complete the circuit, which is the negative. For example, we want this one to read the voltage. We're gonna press on volts, and now we're gonna press on this one. We're gonna remove those so we don't get. If we press on this one, we have here 8.99, which is the voltage that the device is telling us that it's providing, and here is the voltage that we are reading. We see a little bit of a drop here because of the resistance that it's floating in these wires. We have a little bit of a drop between the connection from this one to this one. Whenever we're gonna change this one gonna change with it. So if we set it to 5, for example, here we have 4.9944. If we connect the negative, what we should connect to the positive, so I'm connected wrongly. Now we're gonna read negative voltage, and the negative, that's mean it's the terminal, it's in the opposite direction. Usually what we need to do is connect them to the correct way, which is the positive goes to the positive and the negative goes to the negative, so we have a positive reading. Now we complete the introduction for how to use DC power supply and multimeter. You should be able to do lab 0. after reading your lab manual. Please let me know if you have any questions.